always have other obligations when I'm going to the club. Why is it you're always going to your club when I have other obligations? He asked the question as if he were entirely in earnest. Randolph was not put off his topic. We're a legacy family at White's. Not all legacies demand preservation. The carriage slowed, though not as far as Hollis could tell, because of the press of traffic. We must be approaching Hatchard's. He snatched his hat from the bench beside him. 1,000 thank yous, dear brother, for dropping me here. You would prefer an afternoon at a bookshop to one at a gentleman's club? Infinitely. Hollis moved to the end of the bench just as the carriage door opened. Enjoy your very important luncheon. At least consider helping me restore this family's good name and standing, Randolph said, as Hollis stepped down onto the walk. My children's future depends upon it. All I ask is that you not do anything for which Eloise or Addison will suffer. I would never do anything to hurt my niece and nephew. I think you know that. Some of Randolph's bluster died down. I'm fighting an uphill battle. I think you know that. Hollis popped his hat on his head. I'll be the very portrait of propriety. As tedious as that would be. Randolph looked the tiniest bit mollified. You'll come take dinner with us soon? Hollis dipped his head in acknowledgement before motioning for the carriage door to be closed. He stood on the walk as the carriage rolled away down Piccadilly and turned off the street. Free of his brother's scrutiny, Hollis walked with casual haste away from the bookshop. Hatchard's was a fine place to spend an afternoon, but it was not actually his destination. Randolph worried that Hollis might be involved in a profession that would cast a shadow on the family reputation. Oh, Randolph, you ought to be fretting about so much more than that. Hollis pulled a penny from his pocket and spun it in his fingers as he moved leisurely in the direction of Covent Gardens. He had time enough to make his way at a pace that wouldn't draw notice. Mongers hawked their wares. Customers with a few coins to rub together wandered in and out of the shops. A good number of people had, either in their hands or in their pockets, the familiar penny dreadfuls, serial stories sold for a penny and exceedingly popular among the poor and working class. They were considered a scandalous choice among the upper crust, one few admitted to, but many indulged in. Onward he went, spinning his penny, keenly aware of anyone and everyone around him. He would appear to them as a gentleman of means, of indifference, never knowing he tracked them like a pickpocket in a crowd of unguarded purses. Among the penny serials, he spotted a good number sporting the teal cover of Mr. King's latest work. King was, in a bit of fitting nameplay, the reigning monarch of the genre. Hollis also saw a smattering of the first instalment of a new series by Lafayette Jones, a particular favourite of his. He stopped and purchased a copy for himself. That had put some truth to the bold-faced cropper he'd told Randolph about how he meant to spend his day. He tucked the lightweight booklet in his interior jacket pocket, keeping it hidden from prying eyes. They would see what he wanted them to see, nothing more. He kept his demeanour casual, but his eyes sharp. He didn't usually get this close to his destination without spotting others tossing or spinning pennies about. It was a sign, an identifier, a calling card among them. He didn't see any. Hang it, he'd be skinned if he was late. Hollis turned up the steps of what, to a passer-by, would look like an unassuming London townhome with an ordinary blue door. It wasn't locked. It never was on these crucial days. The entryway looked a bit shoddy compared to the polished stone floor and carved columns of his family's London home. Father had managed to complete the Darby's descent into bankruptcy, but at least he hadn't taken a crowbar to the old place and sold it by bits. The vestibule was unexceptional. The sleeping butler, though, was an oddity. Hollis laid the penny he'd been spinning in his hand on the walnut end table alongside at least a dozen others. The butler, head still hanging and heavy with sleep, reached out and pressed a specific flower in the decorative moulding. The first time Hollis had seen the butler press that flower, triggering a nearby door to open all on its own, he'd been speechless. The wonder of it had faded over the years. He moved with quick steps.